Okay, so now we are continuing today, please God, with Chaf Zion 27, which is the David Hashem Oiri, which we are all trying to say twice a day. And last week we did the introductory few verses. We spoke about how David HaMelech is facing his enemies. We pointed out that the enemies could be physical, or they could be emotional, or they could be referring to his challenges, and also could be referring to the Yetzer Hara. And then we concluded with the phrase "B'zos ani vateach." In this I trust, and we spoke about, and I think this is probably one of the strongest lines of this capital of Tehillim, which is David's unwavering trust in Hashem, that no matter what he's going through, I trust that this is where I need to be now. This is what I need to be doing right now. So today we move on to the next pasuk, and it's a very famous, very famous pasuk, which we'll try to unpack. And it goes, Achas sha'alti ma'es Hashem. There's one thing that I ask for from Hashem, Isa avakesh, and for this I'm begging. Okay, so just to take notice in before I finish the pasuk, achas sha'alti, sha'al, to ask for something, is a general request. Avakesh, from the word bakasha, is a beg. Okay, it's a deep desire. So David is saying, there's one thing I asked from Hashem. Actually, it's avakesh, that I'm begging for. Shifti beveis Hashem, return me to live in the house of Hashem, kol yemei chayai, all the days of my life, lachazos b'noyam Hashem, to wander in the glory of Hashem, ulevaker b'heichaloi, and to visit his highest, holiest places, according to most opinions, every day. So this seems like a complete change of mood. Like what happened to David? The last pasuk, he was busy telling us how he trusts in Hashem, totally trusts in Hashem, no matter what's going on. And on this pasuk, he turns all vulnerable and says, Hashem, please let me come home safely. Okay, like what actually is happening over here? So on a very simple level of understanding this, this chapter of Tehillim was written when David was old and his generals were not letting him go out to war anymore. Towards the end of his life, his generals decided that it was actually too dangerous for him to come to war. It was dangerous for him and it was dangerous for them. And they made David HaMelech stay home and daven, and they went out to war. It says actually that the davening that David HaMelech did helped them more than had he been at war, and he was a real strong soldier. So this definitely cannot be a request of David's to come home safely from the war. So that it's not that. What is it then? So again, at the simplest level, and we say it's simplest, David HaMelech was asking Hashem for the Beis HaMikdash. It was one of David HaMelech's greatest desires to build the Beis HaMikdash. One of the saddest things of his life, that he couldn't build the Beis HaMikdash, and he made everything absolutely ready, as we know, so that his son Shlomo would be able to build it. But he asked a lot of times during his life, and according to simple understanding of this pasuk, this is what David HaMelech is saying. It's one of his many requests of Hashem, Shifti b'Beis Hashem, like let me see the Beis HaMikdash, let me enjoy it also. So that could be simple, easy way to understand the pasuk and move on. But the Mepharshim delve into this very deeply, and I'm going to try at least to scratch the surface of the deeper, okay, of the deep. So commentaries tell us that David's biggest request, his biggest desire, was to connect to Hashem. That is what he wanted at all times, to feel that he was connected to Hashem. And the Yalkut Shimoni has a very strange explanation on this pasuk. The Yalkut Shimoni writes like this: Hashem, hears David say, Achas sha'alti me'es Hashem. And he turns to David and he says, you just said, Achas sha'alti, you have one request of me. And then you go on and give a whole lot of requests. You want to be in Hashem's house. You want him to look after you when you're in trouble. You want him to shelter you. You ask for one thing. You say you're going to ask for one thing, and then you go asking for a whole lot of things. And David's response is he says, I learned that from you, Hashem. Doesn't mean I learned that from you. Hashem said to us, or David is telling Hashem, you said, Ma Hashem alekecha sha'el mimcha. What does Hashem want from you, you Jews? Ki im le'yira. I just want you to fear me. And then Hashem, you went and gave us 613 mitzvahs. What? Okay, how come? So we need to understand, and then the Yalkut Shimoni stops. Okay, that's the thing, the Yalkut Shimoni. So we need to understand this conversation. Weird conversation. So let's see what Hashem's asking of us, and what David is, if we could say, accusing Hashem of. So Hashem says, all I want from you is to fear me. And David says, and then you gave us 613 mitzvahs. So how the commentaries explain to us that how does a person get to fear Hashem? Nobody just suddenly wakes up one morning and says, sure, Hashem is great. I just want to fear him. I feel so connected, right? If somebody does do that, and they've had no education, no learning, nothing, they just wake up one day and say, I want to just feel connected. Those are the people who need to be taken away with a white jacket. Okay, but it's like, what happened? How'd you suddenly decide to start fearing Hashem? So how do we reach the level of fearing Hashem? Is through doing the mitzvahs, through doing what Hashem tells us to do. That nurtures our fear of Hashem, and that's what Hashem is saying when he says, there's only one thing I want from you, I want you to fear me. And he gives us a method how. And what's the method that you're going to use in order to fear me? That's going to be doing the mitzvahs. And doing the mitzvahs is what's going to cause you to come to that one thing that I'm requesting of you. So if we understand that, now we can look back at what David HaMelech says to Hashem. David HaMelech says, there's one thing that I want, is to be able to connect with you. Achas sha'alti me'es Hashem. There's only one big desire, the one thing that I'm begging for is to connect to you, Hashem. How am I going to get it? Through all those things that I ask you in this, in the rest of this period. So let's understand what it is. What are the things that he's asking for that's going to help us to connect to Hashem? So first of all, the Chidah tells us that the word Achas is an acronym. Aleph Ches Taf. It's an acronym for Eretz Israel, land of Israel, Chaye Olam Haba, the life in the world to come, and Torah. Okay, those are the three things that form the word Achas. Eretz Israel, Chaye Olam Haba, and Torah. Says each of those things, having the land of Israel, having the promise and the knowledge of Chaye Olam Haba, that we're going to have the world to come, and studying Torah, those are the things that if we nurture those three things, we will come to connect with Hashem properly. So everything that David HaMelech was asking, and the Alshich takes us one step further and says, even the deep desire to have the Beis HaMikdash, to build the Beis HaMikdash, even though Hashem had said no to him so many times, all of that was for one purpose, so that he should connect to Hashem. That's why he was asking for all of it. And let's look at the way that David asks. The first thing he says, Achas sha'alti, I have this one request of you, Hashem. And what is it? Shifti beveis Hashem kol yemei chayai. So shifti, which most of the Tehillims that are translated just say, let me live in the house of Hashem. But shifti actually means return me. Return me to the house of Hashem. So the Chazal explained to us that shifti means return me and return me again and return me again and return me again. This is at all different levels. The first level is that we never ever finish connecting with Hashem. When we finish doing one thing, then there's something else we need to do. When we finish doing something else, then there's something more that we need to learn or to do. Shifty means keep on returning me. Return me, take me back again and again and again. it's also taking into consideration, noting that we humans come and go. There's sometimes where we really good and holy, and there's sometimes where we're really not good and holy. And David HaMelech is taking this into consideration. He's saying, Hashem, even when I slip a little bit, shifty beveis Hashem, I'm asking you, Hashem, to return me. Help me come back to you. And he says, what do I want? Um, he says, Kol Yemei Chayai. I want to come into Hashem's household, if we could call it that. I want to come close to Hashem. Kol Yemei Chayai, all the days of my life. Lachazos b'noyim Hashem. I want to see the beauty and the pleasantness of Hashem. Big request, because we struggle so much when we aren't seeing Hashem as pleasant, as beautiful. And he says, and I want to have this continuous connection with Hashem in his space. Interesting wording that's being used over here, as we'll see as we go through it. So even before we go through it again here, another theme that very much this kapitel of Tehillim is dealing with is the idea of davening. We saw that a little bit already last week, that David HaMelech is speaking about davening, but many of the Mefarshim say that when David says, Achas sha'alti me'eis Hashem, there's one thing that I'm asking, there's one request that I'm asking of you, Hashem, and that is, it's davening. It's a form of prayer, and the commentaries explain to us that when David says, Achas sha'alti, I have one request, I'm asking you, Hashem, for the ability to daven. And I think that's very powerful, because most people think davening, so there's formal davening, there's not formal davening. I pick up my siddur and I'll say the words I'm supposed to, or I won't. I'll think about them, I won't think about them. But what does it mean? Achas sha'alti, I have one request, that you, Hashem, help me to daven. And lots of the commentaries stop over here and speak about it. That the concept that davening is so hard. When it comes to davening, anybody who's planning to be in shul on Yom Tov has already started thinking in their heads a little bit about what they are going to ask Hashem for. So they haven't formalized it, even if they haven't done it consciously. We're already wishing each other next year should be a better year. There should be peace, right? We're already going through things in our head of what we're going to be davening for. Once did this exercise with one of my classes where I asked them, how many things are you going to daven for this year? And I was like, how can you ask such a question? We're going to daven for so many things, right? We all going to daven. So I said, okay, take out a paper and make a list of all the things you're going to daven for. And then what happens when we try and make a formal list of what we're going to daven for? So we have a few things that's the regular things. Those are things that we daven for. I often do this when it comes to like a child's birthday or something. I want to wish them a happy birthday. I want to wish them brachas. So there's the standard brachas that you wish to someone, and then what? Okay. We think there's thousands and thousands of things. David HaMelech says no. There's not thousands and thousands of things you want. If you can connect to Hashem, then that includes everything that you want. Achas sha'alti. We have one request of Hashem, and that's that we should connect to Him. And if we connect to Him properly, everything else is covered. Absolutely everything else is covered. The other thing that Chazal tell us is that often we say that our prayers are for this or for that, but when we actually try to verbalize it, it's not really what we're davening for. And if we stop and think about it, often what we say we want and what we actually want is not the same thing. And David HaMelech is asking over here, he's saying, Achas sha'alti. I want to really be able to express what I feel. I want to really be able to say what it is that I want. I actually need to know for myself what it is that I really want in order that I can verbalize it, that I can feel it, that I can daven for it. And so essentially what we're saying over here, Achas sha'alti, we are asking Hashem to help us daven this year. And it's one of the reasons that we start for a full month beforehand, asking Hashem single day. Help me to get ready for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so that I'll be able to daven. I'll be able to know what I want to pray for, and if I can bring myself to that level of feeling that the only thing I want, the only thing I need, is to connect to Hashem, that should cover all our tefillahs, everything we want. And so he says, how do we see this in the pasuk? He says, "Achas sha'alti me'es Hashem." There's one thing that I'm asking from Hashem, and he says, "Shifti b'veis Hashem." I want you to bring me into the house of Hashem. So nowadays, the house of Hashem are the places that we daven, the shuls, the batei medrash. These are all the houses of Hashem, and he uses interesting explanation, ending to this pasuk. He says, "Kol yemei chayai," all the days of my life. So we have, I don't know if you can call it a joke or a smile or maybe a sadness, that we always say when someone who never ever comes to shul suddenly shows up at shul. The greeting is, "What's wrong?" Okay, what happened? Okay, or do you have yahrzeit? Like that could also be part of the greeting. What makes people come to shul? So there are a whole lot of different ideas of what makes people come to shul. So sometimes it's coming to Yontiv, sometimes it's yahrzeit, sometimes it's, God forbid, something bad happened and we have a need. So those are the things that bring us to shul. Maybe we went to a good shul and we got inspired, and so we went to shul. Something made us come. David HaMelech says, "I want to be able to go to shul kol yemei chayai, all the days of my life." In other words, every day I should wake up and think today's a good day for shul, and we should have this desire to be there, to want to be there, and to want to connect there at shul. And obviously, if David HaMelech himself is asking this question, it's not an easy thing. He's saying, "Hashem, I need your help for it. I need you, Hashem, to help me to want to go to shul kol yemei chayai, all the days of my life, and at all various times of my life, I want you to help me to go to shul." And it says, why is this connecting to Hashem so important for us before we start davening? Why can't we just come to shul Rosh Hashanah? It's enough, right? We're going to sit in shul for hours and hours. We're going to daven. We're going to come back again Yom Kippur. We're going to daven some more. Like, why are we starting this process already during Elul of getting ourselves ready to connect properly with Hashem? And I think it's Rabbi Pliskin who says, can go and talk to two different soldiers in an army. The one is a hired soldier. He has no idea what the reason for this war is. He's doing it as a business, as a job. He doesn't know who the general is. He doesn't know the politics of the place that he's fighting for. And he goes and he fights, and he's professional, does it very well. And he's reasonably successful. And at the end of his few months, he goes home. He's finished, he's done. Or you could have a soldier who's from the country. He wants to fight for the country. He wants to protect his people. He feels passionately about what the fight is about, right? Who is the more effective soldier in the end? Is a person who's connected, right? He's the one who is going to fight this war with everything that he has. And so he says this is the same thing with us, and going into the Yontif time. We can come in and we can be minimally effective if we just show up. We are there. We say the words that are in the machzah. We wish everybody around us a good Yontif, and we finish our term, our time there, and we wipe off our hands and we go home till next year. There is benefits in that, and we know very much that the Torah tells us that Hashem appreciates that also. I often stand outside in the shul parking lot, sounds strange, on Erev Yom Kippur, Kol Nidrei night, and I see lots of cars come in of people who weren't there from since a year ago. And I think to myself, this is so powerful. Hashem must be looking and seeing his people who know where they have to be tonight. And he must give everybody a good year, because here they are. Look at this. But you know what's even more powerful than that? are the people who came back again. They were just there on Friday night, and then they were just there on Rosh Hashanah, and then they, even if they were a little bored or whatever else it was, they came back on Yom Kippur. And it's even stranger, the ones who come back on Sukkot. And that's what David HaMelech is saying, I want to be able, Shifty, to come back and to come back and to come back, Kol Yemei Chayai, all the days of my life, because that's what is going to be, that's what's going to be successful. That's what's going to help me the best this year. And David HaMelech is not, he's not looking at this through rose-colored glasses. He says, part of his request to Hashem is Lachazais b'noyam Hashem. I want to be able to see the beauty of Hashem. And again, Chazal tell us it is the same thing when it comes to davening. You know how many people are standing in shul, and especially Yom Kippur, and you still right at the beginning of the machzah, and you start doing calculations. How many hours until the break? If there's 30 pages and the chazan is taking an average of 5 minutes per page, and then how long is it going to take till the break? And we spend a lot of time doing that. Why? Or those kind of things. But why are we doing that? Because we aren't seeing the beauty in this davening. And why aren't we seeing the beauty in this davening? Is because we're not feeling the connectedness to Hashem. If we were feeling oneness with Hashem, if we were feeling a real connection with Hashem, then the davening would go quickly. When you're sitting with a friend and chatting, it goes quick. When you're talking to someone you love, it goes quickly. And this is what David HaMelech is requesting over here. He's asking Hashem, not just an ask, not just I'm asking this, sha'al, but Isa avakesh. I'm begging you, Hashem, to help me, because I acknowledge that this is hard, that this is something that's difficult. And he continues and he says, Ulevaker behechalai, and I want to come and visit Hashem's holy place. So this word to visit is quite strange. Like, we want to come and visit Hashem's holy place, and Chazal answers yes. When a person comes into a new place the first time, he's very excited. And the second time, he's a little bit less excited. And the third time and the fourth time, he gets used to it, right? This is the place. So David HaMelech is saying to us, in some ways, we also need that every single time we come into the Heichal Hashem, we come into a place where we're going to daven, we come into a place where we're going to connect with Hashem. It has to be with the excitement of a visitor, levaker behechalai, that we are arriving to visit this place. Many of the explanations go on to say that visitors behave much better generally than family, which is its own story. However, we have to behave in shul. And then Rashi adds to this, and he says, levaker, which we are translating to visit, also has the root in it, boker, beis, kuf, and resh, morning or daytime. And so you know that whenever it says daytime in Torah, this is a mashal for good, for light, and says that one of the important things that we need over this over all time, actually, but as we're facing Yontif time, is the ability to see the difference between good and bad. So if you remember in the very first paragraph, we're speaking about how the Yetzer Hara catches a person. And so over here, what is it adding for us? When we are davening, when we are connecting with Hashem, one of the things that we need to keep in mind is Baker. What is good and what is bad. And then, so that's the request that David HaMelech is making of Hashem. Continues and says, Ki yitzpaneni b'sukai, he will protect me in his shelter, b'yom ra, on a bad day. Yistarein b'seser halai, he will hide me under the cover of his tent, b'tzuri ramamenu, and he will lift me up on a rock. So if you remember when we did the introduction, we said that one of the reasons that we say LeDavid Hashem every day now, and the thing is because it alludes to the different yontifs. So this pasuk over here obviously alludes to the yontif of Sukkah, just with a name Besukkah, with the Sukkah mentioned in it. A little bit deeper than that, It's alluding to the story of when David's whole family was being wiped out by Atalia, and one child, one little boy, was hidden in the roof, in the attic of the Beis Hamikdash, and he stayed there in the attic of the Beis Hamikdash for 3 years, and this from him the whole future of Beis David continued. So ki tzpaneni b'sukkah, that Hashem hid me in his sukkah, he protected me there. So it's just hinting, it's alluding to that historical fact. Another opinion is that when David wrote this, he was remembering how many times he almost died in battle. There were so many times that he was almost captured and then he wasn't. He was almost killed and then he wasn't. And he's over here acknowledging that this is Hashem, that Hashem looked after him. The next pasuk says, V'ata yarum reishi, you Hashem, now let my head be raised, al oivai sivasai, above the enemies who are surrounding me. Ve'ezbachat ba'ayalai, I'll bring sacrifices in Hashem's tent. Zivchei Shua, with shouts of joy. Ashira va'azamra Hashem, I will sing and I'll give praise to Hashem. So that's the best way that we want to serve Hashem, through singing and through praises. And so, as I said right a little bit before that, David is going to speak about the different ways of davening. And one of the best ways to daven is when you're happy. When a person can come and say thank you to Hashem, and he feels really happy, that's one of the best ways to daven. He continues discussing this concept of davening. He says, Shema Hashem Kaili, Hashem, listen to my voice, Ekra, when I call out to you, V'chaneini v'aneini, be gracious to me and answer me. So the word Shema is an acronym for Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvis, Ma'ariv. So he's clearly talking about us davening, and again, as we've been saying the whole time, davening is the best way to connect with Hashem. And this request, turning to Hashem and saying, when I call you, answer me. Because probably the biggest help for us in our connecting with Hashem is when we see Hashem answering us. When we see that Hashem is saying yes and he's listening to what we are asking from him, this gives us encouragement to carry on. And so we have to keep on looking for signs that Hashem is answering us. He is connecting with us. He is giving us, he's listening to us, he's giving us what we want. I want to go into this a little bit more, but I think I'm going to stop here and finish it next week, because this will take me right into it. So I think this is where we're going to stop today.
Thank you, Rifki. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rifki.
Thanks so much, Rifki. Have a good weekend and a good Shabbos.
Thank you.